Welcome to the DL. This is the show where we talk about everything in the truck and equipment repair industry. It's my job to help inform and educate you on ways to help your business. We talk with technicians, business owners, associations, industry experts, manufacturers, and even a few you wouldn't think traditionally apply to your business. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the DL. I am your host, Tyler Robertson, and this is the podcast show where we talk about everything to do with commercial trucks and equipment. We talk about repair, we talk about business strategies, we talk about being more efficient in your shop, we talk about parts vendors. But today we're going to talk to someone that's a little bit different. So I'm going to introduce you here in a minute, but this is essentially a company where they have a business where kids go to be adults and adults go to be kids. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Ilya Girlya with Diggerland USA. So welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having us, Tyler. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad you could join us.
So let's just explain to everybody, what is Diggerland?
So Diggerland is America's only construction theme park where parents and children can ride, drive, and operate real construction machinery. All of our machinery has been engineered and modified through our resident mechanical and biomechanical engineers, where we've taken real machinery and we've made changes to it to allow children and parents to drive it in a complete closed circuit safe setting. It's the only one of its kind in the entire country.
So you have some really interesting rides there. So I'm looking at your website before this. So let's just talk about a couple of these to give people an idea of what some of the rides are. So what is Elevation Station, and what equipment's behind that's actually running that thing?
Sure. So Elevation Station is a 66-foot tall scissor lift. It actually runs on a Genie scissor lift platform. It goes, at a slow pace all the way up 66 feet up in the air. It essentially holds 6 people, and it is balanced by the counterweight system and all of the engineering that's behind it. So as it's up at the full height of 66 feet and you've got wind gusts of 28 miles an hour of the maximum sustained gusts, the unit does not tip over. It's a very cool, unique unit. And basically what's neat behind it is that most parents and children have never actually sat in a scissor lift, yet alone experienced one. It is a bit of a thrill ride because if you've ever seen one swaying in the wind, there is a fear factor to it. Your mind thinks that you're going to fall over and topple over, but engineering-wise, it's designed to withstand that. So it's a very cool, unique setup.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I've seen plenty of scissor lift fail videos and crane fail videos on YouTube and everything. And you're sending live humans and kids up in these things. Yep. How do you guys, with all your rides, how do you make sure they're safe and all those things? You talked about a little bit there. So you must have engineers and safety people. How do you do that? Because you're modifying real equipment that's used in construction, essentially.
Sure. So every ride starts off with a set of design drawings, right? So we actually work with the manufacturer, who then releases to us their proprietary drawings. We then have our mechanical and biomechanical engineers. So we start with essentially overlaying drawings in a SolidWorks format with what we want to do and how we want to actually engineer the ride. And from there, we start to run load calculations, which is no different than a structural engineer or anybody else building any other apparatus, to understand what is the maximum design weight, what can it accommodate, and how are the wind forces and rain forces and snow forces, because we run our operation throughout the season at different periods of the year. How is that going to impact it? And every piece of equipment also has maximum weight ratings, and there's a maximum weight that the ride can hold. And so for our specific setup, for example, we have a giant scale where all 6 people stand on the scale and they get weighed in before they go on the ride. And that essentially creates the maximum weight load to ensure that the ride is safe. This specific ride is driven by our in-house ride operator, who powers it through the joystick sitting in the control module and raises the apparatus up and down with the actual riders and gives them a tour of Diggerland. So that's kind of a quick rundown as to how we actually start the process. So we certainly do not just go to your local dealer, buy a bunch of rides, throw them on the property, and hope for the best. There is a tremendous amount of work that goes behind it. Now, in our specific situation, we are in the state of New Jersey, which is extremely regulated for amusement rides. And those that don't follow the amusement ride regulations, they all fall under what's called the ASTM standards. And there is an ASTM standard for the safety of amusement devices. And all of our rides have to comply to the ASTM standards. So there has to be specificity to what happens if the ride is elevated and the motor shuts off? How do you emergency lower the ride? And how do you evacuate the patrons? And what happens in wind conditions and different circumstances? So it's a pretty involved process. And most of our customers don't actually understand what we go through to engineer these rides to make them safe. But there's quite a bit of expense and there's quite a bit of engineering that goes through. And it's done by people that have quite a bit of higher education in order to certify these rides that they're safe, and work with our team in testing them out before they're released to the public, and then New Jersey going through their engineering process. So start to finish, a new ride could take a little over a year of time to get approved and stamped as ASTM safety ready in the state of New Jersey.
So, I mean, I know you have a lot of JCB stuff there as well. I saw on your videos. You mentioned Genie. So when you first call these companies and say, hey, man, I want to take your scissor lift and I want to turn it into an amusement ride, do they just kind of look at you and say, like, what are you guys talking about? Or how do those conversations go?
Yeah. So, when we first started this, we've been doing this since, essentially 2011. They were interesting conversations. It's very complicated. Lots of times people laugh. And so it certainly takes relationship building to get to people and the senior, design engineers to understand what we're doing and what we plan to do with the equipment, right? So most manufacturers are not amusement ride manufacturers, and they don't want to be involved with amusement rides. It's a whole different caliber. So, having the fact that we've been operational now for quite a period of time and we have a history and we can prove that history has made it certainly easier, but it certainly doesn't rule out that every time we look at a new opportunity, there is a complexity in the layer to go through to get what we need so that we can start with a basis of some sort of design drawing so that our engineers can understand that we're starting at not at zero, but some layer of understanding of how these rides are done. And a lot of times that's very proprietary information. So, we treat that very much with sensitivity in what we do here.
So you got some other rides too. You got the Grease Beast, the Sky Shuttle, the Spin Dizzy. Is there like a real favorite there that the patrons tend to all want to ride on?
So the Greased Beast is a ride that we essentially designed in-house, soup to nuts, by ourselves. So we took the back end of an entire tractor trailer that is typically used to haul anything from fill dirt to grain, and we decided to see what it would be like to elevate it on a steep 45-degree angle. What would happen if we placed 13 seats in the back of the bed, if we added a rumbler to the bottom of the floor, which is historically used to shake off any loose fill or rock or dirt as it dumps, and what that would feel like on the patrons sitting in the back as they're elevated and then the tailgate opens to give them that sensation of, hey, what's it like to ride in the back of a dump truck? Now, I know most normal people don't drive down the street and say that, but coincidentally, we thought it would be a very unique ride. So we actually engineered that ride, start to finish, in-house. We were fortunate enough to have our own dump truck, which was a little bit shorter. So as a beta test, my brother thought it would be funny to weld a seat in the back and put some ratchet straps along me and raise me up in the air and see if I would scream. And I said, yeah, this is pretty scary. Now you can bring me down. And after that, all the other managers said, can I try? And we said, we think this is funny, but kind of enjoyable. And so from there started a design process of engineering a new ride and a new experience, hence called the Greased Beast. It's an actual real dump body, but it is driven by hydraulic motors and electronic motors that control certain stops and starts and sensitivity, with a real tractor in the front that sort of creates the look of a real tractor trailer. And that's one of our rides that we patented. We invented it. We were really excited about it, just like some of our other ones like Elevation Station, where we hold certain design and utility patents. So those are some of our favorite rides. The next favorite one, of course, is going to be the Spin Dizzy. That is a 25-ton excavator. It's a JCB model. You are sitting in the front of a 9-person gondola, which used to be the excavator bucket. And the sensation there is you are spinning in a 360 motion, both one direction and another direction, but you actually feel G-forces on your face. And if you've been on that ride and you experience it, you do get off. And, the word spin dizzy is realistic because you feel like crap when you get off it because you've been spun around so much. But it's a tremendous ride. It's unique on how the machine, can rotate unrestricted 360, powered by a diesel engine, and the driver who's in the machine, funny enough, does not get dizzy because he's in the center of the gravity and he's in the center of the rotation. So, the patrons are getting dizzy, but not the actual person that's spinning you. So it's a real interesting ride, and it is one of our most favorite and extreme rides. It's got lots of sensors, lots of limits, lots of safeties to prevent the ride operator from doing certain things to keep everybody safe in that gondola.
So you got your equipment you've modified to be into rides, but you also have like live shows you do. I know you have your equipment stunt show, and then I saw there was, I don't know if you guys have it there. I saw they do parades with it and stuff, which is your JCB GT, which looked like a souped up JCB tractor. Can you kind of talk about those types of things?
Yeah. So during the day, lots of amusement parks do parades. So we thought it would be really funny to do an equipment parade, during operations. So we take all of our, sort of pieces of machinery that we think are our crowd pleasers. So we'll put funny faces on the front of them. We have our own vinyl machine and our own vinyl department. So, for example, we have a street sweeper. So we'll put eyes on it and a mouth, and we'll call it the Grim Sweeper. And then we'll take our backhoe and we'll parade through it. We'll take our forklift. We'll put our mascots in it. It's just a unique way for children and parents to see something different that they're not accustomed to seeing. So we parade the machines through the park. We have our staff in the front and the back to keep everybody at a safe distance. And it's just a really fun experience. And JCB was kind enough to give us years ago the original JCB GT, which was their 1987 world's fastest backhoe that they essentially invented and created. It's got a GMC, engine in it. It shoots flames off the side. And, they've been generous enough to let us restore it, which we fixed it all up and we keep it showcased. And from time to time, we'll take it out, we'll start it up, we'll shoot the flames and smoke from the side. And it just sounds really incredible. Although we don't race it and we're not allowed to race it because it's, it's a showpiece. It's an antique. It's just a really nice piece to have and represent, what the company was able to do and think outside the box on making that a really unique piece of attraction. And usually annually, JCB will come out and actually bring their official racing GT backhoe. And up until COVID, they used to bring it out and take it to the raceway. And it'd be a real treat to show all the race fans there what an actual backhoe can do in a quarter mile. Typically, it's running somewhere in the 13.1, 13.2 down a quarter mile track at a little over 110 miles an hour. So it's pretty cool to see that a backhoe can actually do that in a quarter mile.
Well, now I got to find some videos or something because I've never seen a backhoe actually go that fast before. Usually they're a lot less, obviously. So you got your live stuff there, but then you have Diggerland XL, right? So can we explain to the audience, what is Diggerland XL?
So the Diggerland XL experience is taking our full-size unrestricted machinery and letting adults try it on a one-on-one experience with a ride operator. So this would be a 25-ton excavator, a full-size, John Deere 750 dozer, a full-size, Deere 440J or H wheel loader. And so the experience there is you're actually driving the real machinery. The experience begins with a short safety lesson, and then you're giving them tasks to do with the equipment so that they can actually appreciate what a real ride operator does in the real world. So whether it's digging a hole, setting a pole, stacking tires, pushing dirt, creating a mound, trying to conquer it, backfilling. Most people like it. We have a typical crowd that's middle-aged. Most of them are diverse from their background. Some are professionals. Some are tradespeople that see it in the field but don't get a chance to actually try it because they might be the electrician on site, but they're not the guy that's operating the equipment. So it's a really neat experience, and get a lot of people trying and doing different things because they've always wanted to have a bucket list of driving heavy machinery.
So I was fortunate growing up. My family owns and still does own gravel pit operations, and they have a ready mix company. So I literally grew up driving a forklift and front end loader and excavator and bulldozer and all that stuff. And I look back at it now, I'm like, man, that was a unique experience. A lot of people can't do that, and they don't have the opportunity, but you guys obviously provide that to them. But what about the kids? Can the kids get there and go drive around some equipment as well?
So all of our equipment for anyone that's under the age of 18 is the core Diggerland USA experience, right? So we have mini excavators, we have farm tractors, we have off-road vehicles, we have drive-on skid steers, drive-on dumper trucks. And then if they want to try some of the real big stuff, unfortunately, you have to be over 18 to try the real big stuff because that's a little bit more hand and eye coordination. And there's a different kind of safety factor involved that needs to be, presented to them for that. But most parents stick to the Diggerland USA Park. They love that experience. They can actually lap ride with some of their children that are shorter or different age heights. So it works out really nice for them to experience and have that bonding experience and appreciate, what's it like driving a skid steer because they see it all the time and they've never actually done it before.
Yeah. So let's, there's another side of this whole story, and that's the entrepreneur side with you and your brother. So before we kind of went on there, we talked a little bit about it because, I don't know. Well, can you explain to us how did the idea even come up, right? Like whoever thought, like, I'm going to take some construction equipment, I'm going to build a theme park around it. It's not your typical Disney Universal Studios situation, right? So what's the background story? How did that happen?
Yeah. So the background is, I grew up in the family construction business. We were commercial contractors, both my brother and I with my father. As I grew up, in the field, I learned pretty much, school of hard knocks. You started off in the trenches, sweeping, and then you started learning how to frame, how to do welding, how to do carpentry, electrical. And then as I got a little bit older, I got more into the engine repair, and we started doing site work, and we, had a large fleet of equipment. So I was the diesel mechanic. I was always tinkering. I was always smelling like diesel. And, as you started to grow and mature and our business expanded, as the family grew and the business grew, I decided to, step aside and explore entertainment opportunities. I was always intrigued. And so many years ago, we decided to venture into the indoor water park business. So we built a freestanding indoor water park here in southern New Jersey. And my brother and I bifurcated duties. He ran the family construction business. I ran the entertainment side and ran that business. And then as that expanded, we decided to add Diggerland as a whole nother additional theme park. And because we were intrigued by the machinery and the fact that we wanted to do something uniquely different, we did some testing, we did some touring, and we said that we think it's a unique opportunity. And that's how this all got started.
So very unique situation you have here. Very obviously you're outside the box thinkers. You're not afraid to tinker and try some new things. That's awesome to see. And you guys actually expanded this year as well with the water park. So can you talk a little bit about the water park that you have now? And then we'll talk about COVID here in a second. I know that threw some monkey wrenches in your plans, but it looks like an amazing water park that you guys just put in this year.
Yeah, that's right. So, here at Diggerland USA, we decided to add an outdoor water park. We decided to theme it and brand it kind of consistent to the core Diggerland theme. So we added a 2-acre outdoor water park. Essentially we're pushing, close to 400,000 gallons of water in a slide complex. It was a great addition. Our crowds have been super excited. The fact that we've expanded and added a water element since we get pretty hot summers here. And certainly the timing of opening it couldn't have come at a worse time with the whole COVID-19 situation. But fortunately enough, our governor gave us the green light on July 2nd. So we were able to salvage a good portion of the summer and still open that facility up and, run it at a 50% capacity, but enough to please our local population and those that are willing to come down and experience it. So we've been very blessed.
Yeah, I can imagine with COVID, we're more business to business. We don't have customers coming into our place. You're in the amusement business, the entertainment business with people. And obviously New York, New Jersey was hit really, really hard in this whole thing. And you guys were locked down for quite a while in that whole process and everything. How are you guys able to get through that? I mean, that's got to be tough not knowing, hey, when are we going to reopen again? We need income. I mean, you're a business, right? Every business needs sales. Otherwise things go ugly pretty quick. How was that experience for you as a business owner going through COVID this year?
It was a very complicated, challenging experience. So, like every business owner, 2020 started off with huge expectations, right? I think all of us finished a very nice 2019. We obviously made a conscious decision to invest in a multi-million-dollar expansion. We were moving along. We were hearing the media, but we weren't thinking that anything like this could happen. We did open Diggerland for our opening season mid-March, and literally the second day on a Sunday, the governor said everything comes to an all stop. So it was a little bit of panic mode, but I've always been raised to be a saver, not a spender. And so we made the decision that we would maintain all of our staffing, all of our core managers, and we would essentially all become tradesmen. And whatever we had to do to finish this water park, we would do on our own, whatever we could do. So if we had to pour concrete. I put the managers to assemble the fiberglass slides along with the slide manufacturer. And we just essentially put on our belts and we became workers and we pushed through it. And we stayed together as a core team and we worked hard. And, we survived like everybody else. And we were just, essentially working on bare necessities. All the marketing dollars were cut out because we weren't marketing, we weren't advertising. And once we had some understanding of when the green light was going to go is when we started bringing back our hourly staff and started training all of our ride operators and all of our lifeguards and everything else we needed to do. But it was very stressful, to say the least. We lost our core spring break season. We lost Memorial Day, all of June. And, there comes a point where you start to wonder and say, will this ever end? What are we going to do? And, dollars are not unlimited in everybody's bank account. And sometimes, you start to wonder and say, will we run out? And what do we do then? What's our plan B? And I'm sure every business owner can appreciate that stress that everybody went through. You start to really second guess every decision. And it was very challenging, to say the least.
Yeah, same things here. I mean, there was obviously some weeks of panic there. You never knew how bad or where the bottom was or how long it was going to go. So I totally feel your pain. And you tell me that story makes sense now because you had put on LinkedIn a picture of like a dump truck and how you were hopping the dump truck to go haul some loads. And I didn't quite understand. I'm like, why are they doing that? Like, what is he just like hauling? Is he have a side business? But now understanding your family history, and that's really cool. You're able to go to your employees and say, look, we're all going to have to do something different here in order to get this park, get the construction done and keep costs under control and everything. So did some of them kind of look at you a little weird when you guys are like, hey guys, put your gloves on. We got to go out here and build a water park together?
You know what? My management team already understands that we grew up working in the trenches. And so it was nothing that they didn't expect. They actually expected it and knew that it was going to happen. My brother and I are not office guys. We don't sit behind a desk. We're in the field. 99% of the time you'll find me in the kitchen helping out making French fries or serve the customers or sweeping floors or training lifeguards or backwashing. I mean, we do everything. So we are true what's called hands-on operators. That picture with the dump truck, 25 years ago, I got my CDL and, I always tell my kids, make sure you have a trade to fall back on because you never know what can happen economically. And I got to haul fill. I got to haul, stone, whatever it takes. And, I enjoy driving the dump truck. I love it. And I've never looked back having any of those trades.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We have a lot of diesel technicians that work in our call center here because we help people over the internet. And almost everyone I talked to, they all said, nope, I still got my toolbox. I still got my tools because if this thing doesn't work out, I can go back to work somewhere else. So great mentality and great attitude to have. So it just, that's the kind of stuff I think people really look at. And you're right, always have a plan B because you never know when you're going to need to fully enact it. One of the other interesting things I thought you guys did as well is you have your camping experiences that you do there. Are you guys able to do those this year? And what does that look like in a COVID world?
We did. I mean, camping has been a huge success here because we have a large open outdoor area and, we've got trees for shade. The camping was great because all the families are staying, within their own little, campground or camp, sort of setup. They're able to social distance, and camping's turned into sort of, the new terminology of glamping. Parents, don't sleep, on leaves and twigs. They bring in these giant air inflatable mattresses. So we got to run electricity to them. Some of them bring RVs, some of them bring campers, but it's a really nice experience. People wanted to be outdoors. They wanted to be outside and, the timing was great for us. And it's a nice, fun experience. We do fire pits in the evening time and, families really enjoyed having that ability to sort of bond together, but be outside of their house because they've been cooped up for so many months. So it was a nice retreat for everyone, including myself. I really enjoy it. I stay over, I run the event. I just have a lot of fun to kind of see all the families and thank them and just, help out those that are first time campers. A lot of them look at the instructions and you see them struggling. So you walk over and you kind of help them assemble their tent because you can see they just came out of Walmart somewhere and they have no idea. So it's always good to help somebody out.
Well, that's really cool. And that's really awesome that you guys do that stuff. So during COVID now, I mean, COVID's still going on, right? It's obviously not gone. It's still here. There's no vaccine yet, Are you seeing people willing to come out to the parks? There's a lot of fear and people are just saying, hey, I'm not going to a park. That's too difficult. And can you talk about some of the safety protocols you're doing to make it a safe experience?
I mean, COVID has certainly been a challenge, right? So we are open. We are an outdoor venue. There are really strict guidelines that New Jersey's put in place of when you have to wear a face covering, when you don't. Fortunately, because of the chlorinated water and because of the pool environment, the safety rules by New Jersey and the Board of Health have been slightly relaxed. And so most people are staying by the pool side. There is a decent crowd that still goes down and uses the general amusement park. But we've had to implement, of course, a face covering policy, which is mandatory across the board. We have to have a tremendous amount of spray bottles. We have to spray down and wash down every ride operator seat. We have to stage the people differently in the customer so they're not sitting so close together. So there's been some complexities, right? So some folks have medical conditions and special needs, and you have to be sensitive that they can't wear a face covering. And, it creates a little bit of complications on how to manage that process and how to have your younger staff understand that process. And other adults don't understand what goes on and why one's excluded, one's not. So there's always some drama and challenges that we face, which is expected in a public venue. So every day we try to, work through those and have a good attitude and a good spirit and still comply with the regulations and still comply with all of our, sanitizing stations and cleaning and washing of things down. But, there was always going to be challenges. There's no such thing as everything is always, peaching and rosy. There's always complexities to being in the public eye.
Well, and it looks like, from what I can tell, you guys are constantly adding new rides. I saw you had the zip line thing you added last year, which, by the way, I've never seen a zip line where you can sit side by side with someone else. I thought that was really cool, and it looks like it goes down and back, if I had that right.
That's correct. It's a 2-person seated zip line. It goes 1,500 linear feet, 140 feet in the air. It's spectacular. You see the whole Philadelphia skyline. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
sounds like a great place to be. Like I said earlier, we sent a couple of our employees up there last year, and they were super excited. They couldn't stop talking about the park and everything. And I think eventually we try to do something with you guys. We talked about doing some training classes up there and using your park to do some events with all the attendees and stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to do a little business with each other here, and probably after the whole COVID thing kind of goes away, hopefully. Yeah.
When COVID's end, we'd love to have a training session here and let your trainees go out here and have some fun. They would certainly enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great experience for a lot of people. And I showed your videos to my kids. They're pretty much begging me every day now, like, Dad, when can we go to Diggerland? So hopefully we can get up there very soon as well. So with all that said, if people want to learn more about your company or connect with you, what's the best way? What's the best way to do that?
Best way is just visit our website, diggerlandusa.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty much on site 7 days a week, so I'm sure you'll see me somewhere around the park. I'm always doing something.
Well, from one entrepreneur to another, love what you guys are doing. Challenges absolutely suck. Hopefully you're guys in the same mindset where you come out of this thing stronger than you went into it. You have a different appreciation for things and a different way of doing things. So great to see you guys pivoting and making it through this whole thing. I was really feeling bad for you when the whole thing got locked down in the middle of a construction project like that. I'm like, man, if that's me, I don't know what I'm doing. That's a lot of money on the line. So glad to see you guys get through that whole thing.
Yep. Yeah, we were very nervous. The crew started getting smaller and smaller, and we were starting to look at our schedule saying we're not going to make it. So, thank God we made it through. And, we were one of the fortunates. I know a lot of people took a hit, and I can only appreciate how much everyone suffered through all this.
Yeah. All right. What's the website people need to go to learn more about Diggerland?
Just diggerlandusa.com, and everything you need to know is there. You can always contact us. You can live chat with us. Always happy to have anybody come visit us and give them a tour. Happy to have them here.
So last question I got for you. How many pieces of equipment do you guys actually have there? And how do you guys service and maintain all that stuff?
Sure. So we have a little over 110 pieces of equipment. We have a full-time machine shop and full-time 3 mechanics. We have a giant fleet maintenance software that talks about all of our preventative maintenance, how many hours, when it's time to change out filters and oils and hydraulics and fluids. So it's pretty involved, but we've been doing it long enough now where, like anything, it's a well-lubed machine. But every single day something is wrong because it's construction, it's machinery, it's hydraulics, and kids can be destructive. But we're ready for it. We think we know what they're going to do, so we're hopefully always prepared. And we've got mechanics on site all day long, and they're constantly tweaking and adjusting little things that may go down. So we've been fortunate enough to have a really good, strong management team here.
So who's harder on the equipment, the adults or the kids?
I think it's the adults.
I would guess so too. Like just seeing what I did when I was an adult and running construction equipment, you always got to find a different way to do something or how fast or how hard you can go. So, well, with that, Ilya, I really appreciate you coming on the show and everything. It was great to learn about Diggerland. For everybody watching this, again, a great entrepreneur story, a great business idea, a great business they have running there. If you're up in the New England, New Jersey area, please stop by Diggerland USA. It's a great place they have there. And with that, we'll end the episode. And remember, everybody, it's not diagnostics. It's diagnostics done right. Thank you for watching and listening.